When I was little, all I was really interested in was world peace. And I went to work every day waging battle in a courtroom with words as my sword. There's a little bit of a disconnect there. Now, yes, I was sometimes a gladiator for righteous causes, but if your real spirit is one of desiring peace, why do you fight for a living? It's interesting, and these are the questions that I had to learn to ask myself. It was basically once I got hit by that car and almost died, it was like, what are you doing? What are you doing really? Like, really, what are you doing with your life? Because you just about lost it. It just about got yanked from you. And I kind of felt like if I continued to abuse the gift as much as I did, it was going to get yanked, but I got a second chance. And I'm here to tell you, please don't wait for the car. Please don't wait until the ultimate wake-up call. Choose your life with intention now. Love your life. Wake up. Use my car story as yours without the car.
Welcome to the CSG Law Firm Podcast, where we talk all things law firm finance, operations, strategies, and feature those who have dared to embrace bold changes in the legal landscape. I'm your host, Chelsea Williams, founder of Core Solutions Group and chief financial architect for law firms since 2017. I get the rare glimpse behind the curtain and into operations, mindset, and money habits that make or break law firms. Since COVID, everything we thought we knew about how law firms should run, look, and feel have been shattered. And out of that disruption, a new kind of law firm owner has emerged, one who's bold enough to build outside the box. Around here, we spotlight those renegades, owners who blend legal brilliance with real business strategy, who build boldly, think creatively, and know that money isn't just math, it's mindset. We don't shy away from hard truths. We lean in with curiosity, grit, and a little humor. Whether you're scaling, stabilizing, or just trying to stay sane, you'll find stories, strategies, and straight talk to help you run a more profitable, value-driven law firm. So grab your coffee or your case files and let's get into it. Because it's time to ditch the stuffy suits and take control of your cash flow, build something bold, and prioritize protecting profits in your pocket. All right. Hey, welcome back to Law Firm Money Matters. Today, we have a very special guest. Hey, look, there are moments in life that change everything, and not gradually and not politely, but instantly. When the identity you've spent decades building disappears and you're left asking a question most people spend their entire lives avoiding. Who am I without all of this? So today's guest knows that question intimately. Susan Filan is a former prosecutor, defense attorney, and nationally recognized legal analyst who built a career defined by achievement, excellence, and external success. By every traditional measure, she has made it. Until one moment changed everything. After being struck by a car and forced into stillness, that can be so hard for some of us, Susan faced something far more confronting than physical recovery. She faced the realization that her entire sense of self had been built on external validation. And what followed wasn't just healing, it was transformation. Today, Susan is a keynote speaker and thought leader whose message challenges, love this, challenges high performers, entrepreneurs, and lawyers to confront the wake-up calls in our own lives. The whispers, the knocks, and the sledgehammers we often ignore. So in this conversation, we're diving into what it really means to rebuild your identity from the inside out, why success can sometimes be the very thing that holds you back, and how to recognize those signals that your life is asking you to change. Because the truth is, life will find a way to wake you up. The only question is, will you listen before you're pushed? Susan, your intro gives me goosebumps. I don't know about you, but even just reading it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel like so many people can relate.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Susan Filan. Chelsea, it's so nice to be here. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I mean, my wake-up call came on a beautiful day in June with a sunny sky. I was with my adult child for their 21st birthday, and we were in downtown where we live in Westport, Connecticut, and we were going to cross the street. So I looked both ways, stepped off the curb, and the next thing there was this sickening thud and a thump. And I didn't know it was me. I never saw the car hit me. And I was thrown up onto its hood, thrown up onto its windshield, and then thrown back. And the back of my head hit the street hard when I went down. And the next thing I knew, I saw myself hovering above my body, looking down at my body lying there in the street in the middle of this very busy intersection. And I said, "Oh, I'm dead." And then I thought, wait, am I dead? Am I dead? And then the next thing, like lickety split, I was back in my body looking up and I thought, okay, I'm not dead, but I don't know if I'm hurt or I'm just embarrassed. You know how, like, when you trip and fall and you're embarrassed and you think, I made an idiot out of myself, I better just get up. So I thought, okay, I'm going to get up. And then I realized I cannot move. I'm not going anywhere. I can't get up. I'm very, very, very seriously injured. And that's the moment that my life changed forever. That was my wake up call.
Oh my gosh, just listening to that I'm like reliving it with you, and I can't even imagine. And for you, your wake up call was like undeniable. You got hit by a whole car and you couldn't get up. And sometimes that's life's way of boldly telling you, like, look, it's time.
Yeah.
But sometimes it can come in the form of like a whisper or a knock. Yours was a sledgehammer, right?
Mine was a car.
Yours was a whole car.
Mine was a car.
Yes. And so my first question to you that I want to talk about is, why do you think that for some of us it takes the sledgehammer or the car? Why can't we see the whispers and the knocks?
Well, if you're like me and you're a particularly stubborn customer, highly willful, and I have a lot of drive, I have a lot of discipline, I can do hard things. But what I couldn't do was listen to the voice inside me. I was so driven by external measures of success. And why? Why would that be? And I'll tell you why. It's because I didn't think I was enough. And when I was, hit by the car and lying in the street, the EMTs came, I heard him say, "Oh," as if he was talking to his buddy, giving a poke in the elbow. "Oh, it's not a fatality. They thought I was dead." I was loaded into the ambulance and we were going to France that Sunday. This was a Thursday. We're in the ambulance and I'm thinking, oh, I wonder if we're still going to go on Sunday or whether I have to delay the flight maybe till Monday. I had no idea the road ahead of me. I had no idea that my life was over as I knew it forever. I had 5 surgeries ahead of me, a whole year of surgeries. I was unable to walk. I literally had to learn to walk, like literally like heel, toe, roll. Your right arm swings forward when your left arm goes forward, left leg goes forward. I literally had to learn to walk. And then because I'm very vain, I wanted to learn to walk without a limp so you couldn't tell that this had happened to me. So that was the second year. And then I had to completely rebuild myself and my career. And by then I realized the jig was up and I was never able to go back to who I was or what I was. And when I realized that the reason I had been so driven was because I didn't feel like I was enough, I found in that stillness of just being able to lie in a bed and feel my lungs breathe and feel my heartbeat, I realized I am enough. I'm here. I was spared. I don't know why and I don't know for what purpose, but the very fact that something animates me and I'm still alive is my worth. And it's not what I do. It's not what I've achieved. It's not what you think of me. It's not whether I impress you. It's how do you feel when you're with me? And I thought about that specifically in the context of my 2 adult children. Had I died that day, would they have felt that I loved them? Would they have felt that I supported them? Would they have felt that I had been so busy trying to be something and someone and super successful and blah, 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 that they never really felt like I paid attention to them? Would my husband have felt that, he wasn't that important? So I realized that had I died that day, I would have missed the meaning of life entirely. I would have missed it. Now what I understand is not what impact can I make, but how can I help? How can you be better by having known me? And so I had to reinvent. And now I don't practice law. I was also a doctoral candidate. I'd gone back to law school during COVID. I'd gotten an LLM in Indigenous Peoples Law and Policy. I was a law professor and I was getting my doctorate in law. I had to give it all up. Now I do what makes me so incredibly happy because, again, in that stripped down place of reinvention, I had to say, I almost died. I don't want to miss it. What do I really, really, really want to do? And now everything I do for love. I coach, I speak, and I write, and I am happy.
I love this topic because the question that you're posing to our listeners, whether they can hear it in your story yet or not, is what do you actually want? And it's the first question that when I'm working with people inside of my Profit Ready program that I ask them, because even when it comes to money, like there's a saying, show me, and it's so true, show me your calendar and your bank account and I will tell you what your priorities are. Because
Wow.
action beats intention every time. You can have the best intention to be there for your kids, for example, as you were saying. But if I look at your calendar and I see work, 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 travel for work, 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 despite your intentions, that's not your priority. And it's such a profound moment for people when they can actually be honest with themselves about what do I want? And then like the second layer of that question is, what do you want? Not what society told you you
Right.
should want, not what the legal industry tells you you should strive for, not what your parents wanted for you, but really distill it down to what do you want? So in your experience with the people that you work with, what does it actually look like in real life to leap before you're pushed, to be able to come to that moment before something forces you into that moment?
Yeah. Well, the coaching that I'm doing now is mostly, I call it heroic divorce coaching. I also do reinvention coaching for people at an inflection point, but most of what I do is under the banner of heroic divorce. And the point of heroic divorce is to go from victim to hero so that you're the hero in your own life. It's your story. You write it as the hero. And what I do with people, because very often that's a really tough experience to get divorced. And so instead of focusing only on what you're losing and how you feel, which is angry and afraid and out of control, and everything's at stake, your family, your finances, your children, your career, your future, it's really a tough, it's a tough transition. I focus on what do you want your life to look like on the other side? What do you want to build? What do you want to create? Then we take stock of where they are and what they need to get there. And then we create a strategy in conjunction with the lawyers. It's a legal strategy. It's not just an emotional strategy, but it's an actual strategy. It's the phases, the four phases are HERO. It spells hero, but it's huddle, where we get together and we, where are you at? E, empower. What is it that you want? What's your vision? What do you want to build? R, reclaim. What's the strategy? And then O, own. Let's implement it. And so by the time you've gotten from here to there, you're not only out of a marriage that ended for whatever reason, you're who you want to become, and your life looks like what you want it to be. And that model was born out of my own reinvention. And you asked earlier, why don't some people hear the longing, and why do some people need the sledgehammer, and why do some people need the car? Well, for me, there were other wake up call moments, but I was so hell bent on being somebody to somebody else rather than who I want to be and living the life that I want to live, that I brushed them all aside until it sent sirens, and life sent sirens and surgeons to stop me. I had to be stopped cold. I had to be stopped dead, literally, in order for me to get back in touch with my original self, who I am and what I love, and to use this lifetime to be that and to do that and to enjoy my life. That's one of the things that I missed, Chelsea. I was so busy with success. I didn't realize, I don't know if I never knew it or I blew it off, but life is to be enjoyed. We are here to love one another, to love our lives, to enjoy our gifts, to reap the fruits. But, while life can be hard, it's also incredibly, incredibly enjoyable. And that's what I'm in touch with now. I'm in touch with enjoyment. And enjoyment for me comes from the inside. Whatever external circumstances are happening to me, they don't drive my state anymore. What drives my state now is immense gratitude at having lived, that I'm alive, and everything else from that is gravy. So I help people when I coach, when I speak, when I write, to love your life. Wake up to a life you love. That's what the wake up call is for.
Mm. And it makes so much sense when you hear it, but when you're in the moment, it's really hard to grasp like what you're really saying right now. Like when you're in the grind of life and you're so invested in this version of you that it maybe isn't really actually what you want and you're avoiding it somehow, it can be really, really difficult. And that's one of the things that I've always, like a question I've always posed to myself is, how do you get people to change before they get to the breaking point of having to change? Like, how do you catch them?
Yeah.
You know, so what are some of the indicators that are easy to ignore? Like if you had a list of them, so our listeners were like, if they're still justifying to themselves in their head right now, like what are the things? What are the things that happen in life?
So I say that wake up calls come in 5 stages. I've seen so many now. I see the pattern. And so the first is the longing. And for me, the longing was, in my first marriage, I'm divorced and remarried. In my first marriage, the longing was I wasn't happy in my marriage and I wasn't happy at work. And I pushed that aside rather than saying, okay, this is how I feel. I'm going to talk about it. I said, this is how I'm feeling. I'm going to ignore it. I'm going to push past it. I'm going to work harder. So that's the first phase, that longing, that whisper, that feeling within that, oh, I'm not happy. This doesn't feel good. This doesn't feel right. Don't blow that one off. Or the wake up call will escalate to the second, which is the knock. Now it's getting louder. And for me, the knock was illness. I got really sick because I wasn't happy in my marriage and I wasn't happy in my work. But what did I do with my illness? Push through it, push past it, ignored it, denied it. It ended up in surgeries. But, I'm a tough customer and I just kept going. Then there's the next stage, which is the alarm. Now it's blaring. I mean, you can hear it like the alarm in the morning when it starts slow and you don't turn it off, and by the end it's really loud and it's really blaring. Then there's the sledgehammer. For me, the sledgehammer was a 12-step program recovery. I had stopped drinking. So that sledgehammer was, I thought, about as loud as a wake-up call could get. But no, did I still go all the way back to my original self and say, I'm divorced, I'm sober, I'm going to love my life? No, I still had to get hit by a car to literally be stripped down to my studs. My Etch-a-Sketch was erased. Everything I was, everything I had done, everyone who knew me, that girl was gone. I had to reinvent. Now, luckily, when you get to that stage, if you unfortunately get to the car where your Etch-a-Sketch erases your whole life, what you find is your original self. For me, my Jiminy Cricket came back, that little inner voice that I heard as a child that told me when I liked something and when I didn't like something and when I was happy and when I was unhappy. And I listened to it when I was little, but I learned to drown it out the older I got. And now what I tell people is find your Jiminy Cricket and listen while it's still whispering, while it's still talking to you nicely, because eventually it will push you out into the middle of the street and hit you with a car if that's what it's going to take for you to hear yourself again.
There's such power in the pause in your story. And I think that's another area where it's difficult. If the pause is not forced upon you, we find a lot of reasons why we can't create the pause. What are some of the ways that people can start creating their own pause in their life?
First, listen to your feelings. Don't ignore them. If you have a pit in your stomach, talk to your pit. If you have a tightness in your chest, anxiety, alarm, fear, worry, talk to it. If you have a splitting headache, that's a sign, that's a signal. So the first is to get into relationship with your true self. Listen to your body. Your body is your GPS, just like Waze telling you turn right, turn left. Your body is holding the signals and the signs. So that's the first pause. Listen. The second one is breathe. Oh, I never wanted to hear that one. It was the most cliche thing in the world. How did I finally learn it was true? When I was lying in that bed and I couldn't move, it was all I could do was breathe. And I thought, this is so boring. And then I thought, wait a minute. This is the ticket to classroom earth. Without my breath, I'm not in this body and I'm not alive. And I love my life. I want to live. I want to be alive. I want to taste it. I want to feel it. I want to experience it. I want to enjoy it. So I started to feel my breath. And then I could feel my heartbeat. And I realized something's animating me. This is a gift. I am receiving a gift. I'm not doing, these aren't my law degrees. These aren't my accomplishments giving me the gift of life. It's my heart beating. It's my lungs breathing. And something is animating it for me. And one day it won't, but today it still is. And it almost didn't. So I breathe now. I actually breathe. I also meditate. I used to think, what a waste of time. Are you kidding me? And then I would get so busy I didn't have time. But what I find, the more I meditate, the more time I have. Meditation gives me time. And I've learned to rewire my nervous system through meditation. And I've learned to retrain my brain through meditation, because neuroplasticity is that the brain can change even as an adult. You know, I'm such an old dog, you wouldn't think I could learn new tricks, but we all can. Our brains are literally wired and designed that way. You just have to get conscious of the old programs that are running you and say, oh, do I want that? It's kind of like when you decide to eat healthy, you have to read all the ingredients on the label. You don't even realize sugars and everything. Well, when you decide you want to live healthy, you have to read all the ingredients in your brain. What is running me?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so true. The entire time you were talking, because you mentioned basically ask yourself in the pause, creating this space, what are you ignoring or what are you avoiding? Like just meditate on that question daily is what in my head, as you were talking, I'm like, meditate on this question daily. What are you ignoring or what are you avoiding? And then also breath work. I love hearing about this stuff in the legal industry because I feel like the legal industry is not where you hear about this stuff. And typically the mindset is very, oh, that's ridiculous and stupid. I'm not doing that. And so I love when I hear about it, especially in this space, because there is so much weight to it. And continuing to brush it off as invalid is only going to not serve you. Like,
And I think what I want to say to people is I couldn't really get it until I heard you're going to die. And so if you tell me it's life and death, like you do it or you're going to die, I'm going to do it because that's how I'm wired. And what I want to say to our listeners is please don't wait till you get that ultimatum. Please don't wait till life is pointing its you're going to die finger in your face. And trust me when I tell you how much better life is when you actually do the things that care for yourself and nurture yourself. I didn't know how to care for myself. I knew how to work. I could literally live on 2 hours of sleep a night. I was so driven and so competitive. And I thought that was a badge of honor, and I don't anymore. I really don't. Now I think living well, living healthy, loving your life, enjoying it, serving others, being of value here. Who can I help? How can I help you? How can I help you love your life? That's what's important to me now. And I would love to have had, I've had lawyers. I would love to have had my lawyer be just like that. I wouldn't have thought less of them. I would have thought more of them.
and you think about that, the fact that the industry typically is not buying into all of this stuff. It's the same industry that has some of the highest rates of mental ailments.
Yeah.
And so it is needed. So before, if you're listening to this and you have that voice in your head telling you, oh gosh, why are they talking about this stuff? That's so stupid and invalid. Consider the fact that you may just be used to it. And this may be the thing that sets you free. I mean, give it 20 days. If you hate it, drop it, but at least try it because it's very needed. And especially in this space.
Yeah.
So then that leads me to the next question, which is ambition and this inner wanting to strive and achieve inherently at odds with the idea of inner peace and happiness? Or have we just misunderstood how to pursue it?
Yeah, no, it's not at odds at all. I mean, what I say in my story is the villain isn't the car, the villain is achievement culture. And the reason the villain is achievement culture is because achievement culture taught me to behave in ways, pursue things, and do things that were anathema to who I really am and what I really love and what I really want to do. I think ambition serves you and feeds you and is wonderful when it's actually in alignment with what you love and what you want and what you're passionate about and what you came here to do. What lights you up? What would you do for free? That's where your real love is. And so when you connect what you love with your will, your desire, your ambition, and achievement, boom, now we're talking. It's when you disconnect it and you learn to basically work outside of yourself and push yourself past what is healthy and what you love and what you want and what you like. That's when achievement culture is the villain.
Yeah, so it comes back to that question, what do you want?
Yes. Yes. And who are you really? Who are
Mm.
you? You know, when I was little, all I was really interested in was world peace. And I went to work every day waging battle in a courtroom with words as my sword. There's a little bit of a disconnect there. Now, yes, I was sometimes a gladiator for righteous causes, but you know, if your real spirit is one of desiring peace, why do you fight for a living? It's interesting, and these are the questions that I had to learn to ask myself. It was basically once I got hit by that car and almost died, it was like, what are you doing? What are you doing really? Like, really, what are you doing with your life? Because you just about lost it. It just about got yanked from you. And I kind of felt like if I continued to abuse the gift as much as I did, it was going to get yanked, but I got a second chance. And I'm here to tell you, please don't wait for the car. Please don't wait until the ultimate wake up call. Choose your life with intention now. Love your life. Wake up. Use my car story as yours without the car.
Yeah, and I think you nailed it with the word intention. Like, what is your intention here? I've met, for example, law firm owners who are in family law and do divorce, and they work with, say, women. I've met one that works with men specifically and one that works with women in divorces specifically. And their intention truly is coming from a place of servanthood. Like, they want to serve their clients, they want to make a difference in their clients' lives. That is a passion for them. So I think that's a good example of, can the two coexist in the space of
Absolutely.
law?
100% they can. But it's going back again to that feeling, do you have a pit in your stomach? Do you have a knot in your chest? Do you feel like you just cannot flog the donkey anymore? Like when the day dawns and it's morning, do you think, oh, I don't want another day? That's when you're out of alignment.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. And, like you alluded to earlier, your body will tell you, when this is happening. Um, so then if somebody's listening to this or they're in a place where they're realizing, oh, crap, I'm doing something that doesn't actually bring me passion. How do you rebuild a life when the version of you that built the old one no longer exists? How do we make that transition when we have built so much over here and we're realizing, oh, that's not for me?
Very slowly, very gently, very nicely, no sudden moves. You don't have to hurt yourself to change. But what you do have to do is get really honest and get really clear and start talking to somebody about it. A coach, a family member, a spouse, a friend. Find somebody that you can tell your truth to, who you can just be absolutely 100% honest with no judgment, because that's how change begins. It begins with the written word, it begins with the spoken word. And what I've found for me is once I've gotten clear on what my heart's desire is and I write it down and I tell somebody, it just starts to manifest. It just starts to happen. If you think about it, in the beginning there was the word and the word created the world. That's kind of how words work. They're very powerful and they're very creative. And I want to just tell one really quick story because I think it really illustrates the point. But I used to be a triathlete. I can't run anymore, but I used to be a triathlete. And I was doing a race where you swim first and then you run up the beach and then you change your gear. As I was running up the beach, I sliced my foot on a razor shell. My foot was, completely sliced open, like the way you would put a knife through a hot dog. And I put on my shoes and I, biked and then I ran. And when it was all done, I went to the ambulance that's always there at the end of the race and I took off my sneaker and I showed them my foot. And they basically said, Well, we're going to have to amputate now because had you come to us originally, we could have stitched it and fixed it. But because you chose to keep going on a sliced foot, you're going to lose it. P.S. I didn't. They fixed it. I was fine. But the point is, I was very good at overriding the signals from my body. I was very good at not listening to myself. I was very good at pushing past any kind of pain, limitation, liability, debilitation, weakness, because, successful people, strategic people, heroic people don't quit. I'm not a quitter. I finished what I started. That's what I'm talking about when I'm saying don't override those signals. It's not quitting to pivot. It's not quitting to change. It's actually a wonderful evolution. And we're all here to learn and grow. We're all going to evolve. I hope we don't look at 90 like we looked at 5.
I love that. It's not failure to pivot.
Correct.
It's not a failure. And in the legal, you always have options. You have way more options than you think. When you think about the worst case scenario in your head, more often than not, that never comes true. So, for example, selling your firm, it's completely possible in today's landscape. And regardless of how you feel about the ways in which law firms can be acquired and sold, it is an option. So it's not like you have to walk away with nothing, for example. So I really like that.
Never stuck. It's never hopeless. There's always an answer. And it's really fun. It's a huge adventure. Life is an adventure. It's to be lived and enjoyed. Don't feel trapped. Don't feel stuck. And don't think small.
That's very well put. So Susan, you speak. You do a lot of speaking on, I assume, these topics. Tell our listeners, where can they hear more of what you have to say and share?
My signature keynote speech is Don't Miss Your Life, the 5 stages of a wake-up call. I also do talks for law enforcement. I'm a former prosecutor. And I do talks for lawyers, wellness, recovery, reinvention, and stuff like that. You can find me on my website, susanfilan.com, F as in Frank, I-L-A-N as in Nancy, susanfilan.com. Reach out to me, connect with me. I would love to hear from you. I want to know where you're at. I want to know what's going on with you, and I want to see if I can help.
Amazing. Guys, we will have all of those links in the show notes. And if there's one thing to take from today's conversation, it's this. The wake-up calls, they are already there. They don't arrive all at once. They begin as whispers, small moments of discomfort, misalignment, or quiet knowing. And when we ignore them, they will only grow louder until life eventually demands our attention. So what Susan shared today is not just a story of transformation, it's an invitation to find or create your pause, to listen, to question whether the life you're building is truly aligned with who you are. Because as we heard, success without alignment has a ceiling, and no amount of external achievement can repair an internal disconnect. So the real question to sit with is this: where in your life are you being called to wake up? And more importantly, will you choose to listen now or wait until you are pushed? If this conversation resonated with you, share it with someone who might need to hear it. And as always, thank you, Susan, for being here and for doing the work that you do and for choosing not just to build a successful life, but a meaningful one.
Thank you, Chelsea, and thank you for the work that you're doing. And I'm so grateful to you.
Awesome. All right, guys, we will see you in the next episode. Thanks for tuning in to the CSG Law Firm Podcast. If today's conversation sparked something for you, an idea, a challenge, or even a little discomfort, that's exactly the point. We're here to rethink the way law firm owners approach money, leadership, and growth. If you're ready to dive deeper, connect with me and my team and learn more about Core Solutions Group and what we do, head on over to our website in the show notes, yourcoresolution.com. Because sometimes all it takes is a fresh perspective and the right people in your corner. Until next time, keep building with intention, lead with clarity, and remember, the numbers tell the story, but you get to write the next chapter.